Hello, I'm Lisa Goodkind. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis 3.5 years ago, and since then I've managed to heal myself using natural measures, diet and lifestyle changes. I wanted to talk to you about what I did and how I managed to get myself better. It's been quite a long journey since I was diagnosed. My main symptoms when I began were that my hands were clawing in the morning and I had pain all over my body. I was actually diagnosed with seronegative RA, and the two rheumatologists that I saw both said that I should take hydroxychloroquine. But I decided at the time that I didn't want to start off with a drug, and I would see what I could do myself and see if I could make a difference. That was the beginning of a long journey. And along the way, I've trained in nutrition and functional medicine so that I can help others also heal themselves. So I'm going to give you some pointers as to what you can do. I'm just going to share my screen. So these are the things that I'm going to talk about. Firstly, I'm going to talk about diet, then digestion, testing, the microbiome, toxins, and lifestyle changes. So I changed my diet overnight when I was diagnosed, and I basically went on a plant-based diet. So for the first, probably for the first month, I just ate fruits and vegetables and nothing else. So I ate that. I did some juicing as well. And I found that my symptoms started to reverse very quickly. So my hands started to unfurl, and within a week or two, I didn't have that problem anymore. It took a while for my joints to gradually start feeling better, but over time, things started to improve. So that was the first diet, and then I've changed it quite a few times as I've gone along. So I tried reintroducing dairy, but I found that gave me a slightly foggy brain. And then I've added in fish and eggs. So nowadays I would say that I'm pescatarian. I don't have dairy, but I do eat eggs. And that seems to work for me very well. The main thing with rheumatoid arthritis is that you want to identify your triggers, the things that result in your symptoms. And in many cases, one of the main triggers will be food. So there will be food proteins that cause immune reactivity in your body and cause inflammation. The key is to try and identify what those are. In many cases, it's similar things. So it's gluten, dairy, soy, corn, eggs, grains. And the way to identify those foods are really to do an elimination diet, to take those foods out, to put them back in again. In my case, I also did some testing with a company called Cyrex, and that identified 180 foods and whether or not I had intolerances to them. It's very useful to test because it allows you to identify foods that you may not otherwise have thought of, and you may not even identify. So on my list is chia seeds and okra, and those are things I might not have worked out for myself. You can just use that list if you've got many intolerances. It can be due to a leaky gut or other things, in which case you may decide not to take out all of the foods at once and just to monitor. So if you eat a meal and you have a bad reaction, then you can see whether the foods that you've eaten correlate to the foods on your intolerances list. This happened to me when I was in America, maybe about 9 months ago now, and I stayed in a hotel and I suddenly had pains at the back of my calves after about a day or so, and the pains got worse and worse. And I had worked out that the chef was using a lot of chia seeds in the breakfast that he was making. I think he must have been throwing them in by the handfuls, and that was affecting my calves and inflaming them. As soon as I took out the chia seeds, I was fine. So testing is useful to try and work out what your particular triggers are. The second thing that I dealt with was digestion. So you may or may not have realized that you have digestive issues. In my case, I had bloating, and I'd lived with it for years. I hadn't really thought a lot about it. It was just kind of usual to me. My stools floated, which meant there was too much fat in them. I wasn't digesting and breaking down fat. Some people have traces of food which haven't broken down, and that can be to do with malabsorption of protein or fiber. So it's worth trying to work out whether you have digestive issues. And in my case, I took supplements. So I took hydrochloric acid to improve my digestion of proteins, and a variety of supplements to help. So I took some digestive enzymes. Before my meal, I would have some apple cider vinegar to help with digestion. So digestion is the second thing to think about. The next thing is testing, and I have to say that I've done a huge amount of testing over the time, because it's really, really informative. And it may be that you need the help of a practitioner to do this, because you can't always order yourself tests. So it's very helpful to engage the services of a nutritional therapist or a functional medicine practitioner that can help you order the tests that you need. So, for example, I tested for SIBO, and I had small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I did a stools test where I looked at the bacteria in my gut and what was going on there. I looked at my liver function. If there's a test, I've probably done it. And all of these tests are useful because they help you to identify your triggers. And once you know your triggers, you can help to remove them. I also tested for chemical sensitivity, and I found out that I was sensitive to chemicals, and that was another trigger for me. So again, that was another test by Cyrex, and I found out that I had intolerance to BPA and formaldehyde. And what that encouraged me to do was to take out a lot of toxins and chemicals from my lifestyle. So my food had already been changed to organic, but I changed all my cosmetics, all my household products. I became organic in every way that I could possibly think of to reduce the toxicity. In my bedroom, I got an air filter to filter out the air. I got my husband to change some of his bathroom products because I felt that those were impacting me as well. So he changed his talcum powder to a more natural type. So between us, we've changed things to try and reduce that chemical sensitivity. One way that you may identify if you've got chemical sensitivity is if you become very sensitive to smells. And if you react to jewelry or things like that, or just have an awareness of you know, whether there are chemicals that might be affecting you. But it's definitely worth, you know, whether or not you test for that, trying to remove those things. It can only be helpful. Removing toxins helps to improve your liver performance, because your liver isn't having to break down those things, and it can therefore be more effective as a part of your immune system. The other thing that I did to help with toxicity was I rented an infrared sauna. In the UK, I used a company called rentasauna.co.uk, and that's been really good to detox through the skin. I did some skin brushing, and every day I did and I do make a smoothie which is full of wild blueberries, very bright fruits and vegetables, high in antioxidants, and then some green and red powders to help with detoxification. I also took some supplements like glutathione, for example, which helped me detoxify. So that was another thing that I did. One thing worth mentioning is your microbiome, which is everything that's in your gut, so bacteria, viruses, well, not just in your gut, you have them everywhere, in your skin, in your mouth, in your lungs. But the microbiome comprise of bacteria, viruses, fungi, molds, and it's really worth addressing your microbiome as part of your return to health. So I tested and found that I had SIBO, which was an overgrowth, I think I said, of bacteria in my small intestine. And one of the things that I did was that I had to adjust my diet again to remove out foods that caused fermentation. And I did that for about 6 weeks using a diet called the specific SIBO diet. And I managed to get rid of my bloating and train my bacteria back to where they should be. So SIBO is when you have the right bacteria in the wrong place. It's not just pathogenic bacteria. But I did have some pathogens, and I used some herbal supplements to get rid of those. And the microbiome is really important when it comes to immune regulation, inflammation, digesting food, making certain vitamins. So it's really worth being mindful about. And as part of my diet, I am very mindful to try and have to eat a diverse range of foods and plant fibers, because those are what's feeding the microbiome. I've talked about toxins, and then the other thing is lifestyle changes. So really, I went on quite a crusade to address my lifestyle. I had I had a little bit of counselling, just 1 or 2 sessions, to really address some minor issues that I had in a relationship, but that was helpful to let go of that. And you really want to try and remove any stresses from your life, and to make sure that as far as possible, your work and your relationships and the people in your life are conducive to the minimum amount of stress and the maximum amount in terms of enhancing your life. I probably should have done more exercise than I did, but I did increase my exercise. And I tried to make changes, really. I tried to introduce 1 new thing a week. So I did some rebounding. I found that I bought a little trampoline. I found that was good to stimulate my lymphatic system. And I also did some meditation, some visualization. So I spent a lot of time working on visualizations, just visualizing myself getting better. I visualized people that I loved and have loved inside my body, just kind of helping me to get better. And all of those things made a difference. So I'm hoping to follow this up with a series of talks talking about things that you can do to help yourselves. And I'm going to share this screen with you. So just to recap, actually, the things that we talked about that I did to help myself: I changed my diet, addressed my digestion, did lots of testing, addressed my microbiome, reduced toxins, made some lifestyle changes. If you want to keep in touch, you can visit my website. I have a Facebook page, Instagram, and YouTube channel called Lisa Good. I do recommend at some point it's worth considering the services of a nutritional therapist or a functional medicine practitioner. So I work on Zoom, or there are lots of other practitioners. You may find one that's more local to you, but that's worth considering as part of your journey in getting better. Thanks very much for listening.